schools under the school choice arrangements are invited to address the committee on the above matters, budget-related matters. Comments will be restricted to adults and students of the district recognized by the chairperson. Comments should last for no more than 3 minutes. Speakers who have brought a prepared statement are requested to hand it to the committee secretary as part of the public record. The school committee will review all comments and suggestions at the March 7th, 2018 meeting before approving the final budget on March 14th, 2018. So we ask that when you come up to the microphone that you please sign in on the clipboard right beside the microphone. And Maureen is going to be timing the speaking tonight, and when you are at 1 minute left, she will hold that sign up so you know that you're on your 3rd minute. So could I invite anyone who would like to speak to please?
Can I just point out, so there are copies of the tentative budget over on the bookcase. Is that a bookcase? And the relevant pages that everyone will want to look at are pages 5 and 6. Page 5 outlines all of the changes in FY19 from FY18, and page 6 details the revenues and the assessments to towns.
So would anyone like to address the school committee?
I guess I'll start. Jen Rockattenant, Salisbury. I've expressed to most of you that I appreciate all that you do, and personally, I support the budget that was presented last week. As one of the parent leaders, I also wanted to express that we also support funding this budget, however, whatever capacity that looks like, and we will be meeting on Tuesday for anybody that's interested in ways to support the budget and to work with us as a team to get it done, however that looks like. Because I know there's no official announcements at this point. Thank you. 6 o'clock at Salisbury Elementary.
Jen, could you sign? Jen, can you
Yes.
sign? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Peterson. I'm a selectman in the town of Rowley, and I believe I've been here almost every meeting talking about Rowley's fiscal situation since September. And I'm just going to be brief tonight. I need to talk numbers. Rowley raises in taxes last fiscal year 18, $17,300,000. Triton, Essex Aggie, and Whittier Tech take $10,200,000. That leaves us about $7 million to run the rest of the town's budget. FY15, each year we have an increase of 2.5% on the previous year's taxes. We also get to add to that for increased revenue, any new growth. The combination of those two figures averages for Rowley somewhere around $400,000 to $450,000 a year. We give half of that to Triton, so we allocate in the budget process $200,000 or thereabouts for Triton. In FY15, the Triton budget increased by $381,674 in its assessment to Rowley, well over the 200. In FY16, the increased assessment to Rowley was $500,953, once again, well over what we have allocated. FY17, $454,354, once again, well over the allocation we give to the Triton district. FY18, it was $397,769,000. In those 5 years, we've given Rowley increased assessments $3,188,000. We cannot continue to do this. The rise in our assessment this year of almost $1 million is going to break our budget. The anticipation is that with the contract, anticipated raises for next year being almost another $1 million, that we're not going to work our way out of this problem with overrides. The override for probably $800,000 in Raleigh, depending on how the final figures work out, is not going to help us next year. It's just going to set us up for another shortage for next year if the budget increases at this rate. So I just want people to realize, taxpayers, and I've told the committee before, the school budget is breaking the community, where we'd like to hire 2 more firemen because we're short of firemen. We can't do it because Triton takes every nickel of our extra money. So just keep in mind that we're going over the edge. Not that we don't want to support the schools, but we have to come up with the money to pay the bill. And at this point, we're going broke, and we're going broke fast. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the committee?
Fine after I make my statement? No.
Either one's fine.
Okay, I've been coming to these meetings, going on 10 years now, and I always get up to speak, and my theme is usually about the state and its lack of funding, Chapter 70. And I'm kind of tired of saying it, like all of you are as well, because we haven't seen any action really on the state level in many years. Hopeful that things are going to change, but my sense is, at least for this year, it's going to be on the fringes. As Brian said, maybe $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 if we're lucky. By most everyone's opinion that I've listened to the hearings and heard, we are in a perfect storm, we are in a crisis. But if we think we can look to the state for the solution this year or possibly next, it's not going to happen. So we need to look for a local solution. Again, something Brian mentioned in his remarks. And this isn't just about a local solution for the Triton district or for the individual towns. It's for the taxpayers who live in all 3 towns and how much we can absorb and contribute to the ongoing budget of the town as well as the district and the education. I do think it's a bit intellectually dishonest to think that the Triton budget can remain harmless and impact the towns to a degree that they're unsustainable, like the previous selectman just said. I mean, already the towns, depending on which town you're talking about, are contributing 50 to 60% of their budget to the education budget, which is a good thing. But that keeps climbing, and the percentage keeps climbing. And again, it goes back to the state's unwillingness to up their contribution. So there's a few things I'd like to, share with the committee, and probably every one of these you've already considered. But we've heard a lot of talk, and we do every year, about the class sizes in the elementary school. And nobody wants to send their child for a 25 to 30 student class. But I seldom hear talk about the class sizes at the high school, which the last time I looked, averaged less than 15 students per class. That's something I think the school could look into. Salaries and benefits of the Triton district are 65 to 70% of the budget. I've heard very little talk, except that I understand the staff has taken no raise. But my question is, has there been any offer by any of the negotiating units to come to the table and find a solution, at least short term, for where the district sits? That would be my question for that. Healthcare costs, I think it's time to review that as far as the cost share for the employees in the district. But finally, my fear is that the overrides could fail. And really what I'd like to see is if we could take steps now to at least lower the amount of any particular override in a town. I think we need to work with the town leaders within the district to try to make that happen. Because fighting with each other is never going to solve the problem. So if we can keep the overrides to a lower level by making some of the changes, I think that would be a step in the right direction. Thanks.
Thank you.
I never said who I was. Dale Williams, Scotland Heights, and Newbury.
Larry White, I'm chairman of the Finance Committee in Rowley. I have to echo what Dave Peterson has said, that we can't afford, Rowley can't afford all the increases. If you take the time and Google Triton Regional School ranking, Triton is 167th out of 340 in Massachusetts. It's an average school. An average school that takes all of the town's funding. Triton might pay the bills, but it's the town's money it is using, and Triton is not using it wisely. Now, when it happens to me, and they say, how much money do you have? Give me all your money. The last time that happened to me, the police wrote it up as a robbery. When they asked for not only that, but we have to lay off police and fire, you're almost talking about extortion. Now, 2 weeks ago, the Board of Selectmen from all three towns were up here and said, we can't afford the override. It's not going to pass. Okay, the budget as it stands won't make it. Sure, you can throw it to the people, that's fine. But 2 weeks ago, Triton's answer, after the budget review and consideration and the budget that you came up with tonight, is a reduction of $13,900. Disgusting.
Would anyone else like to address the committee tonight?
Hi, my name is Laura DePersia. I'm from Rowley, and I guess my concern is we're somewhat talking about solutions at the state level, and we're trying to find them on the regional level, but I'm not hearing from, and maybe this is a Rowley thing I need to bring there, but I'm not hearing anything from Rowley on how we can increase our ability to bring more money into our community, and maybe that's a starting point to think how we need to maybe expand our minds a bit to see some different ways to bring revenue into our town. That's part of the solution. If we're going to work together, we can't be just saying no when there's no money. My son, I think I mentioned last time, is about to start Pine Grove next year as a kindergartner, and I'm just not feeling very good about coming into this. But I'm somebody who doesn't give up, and I want to be part of the solution. And like I said, I live in Raleigh, so I'm working there to see what I can do within the own town to make a difference as well. But I think giving up and just these battle lines, as it seems, are being drawn is not a good thing. So hopefully we continue to work together.
Laura, could you sign in, please? Thank you. Okay.
Hi, I'm Nicole Thornton, and I'm from Rowley, and I'm the co-president of the PTA at Pine Grove School. And I just have to say to our town leaders and to these school leaders that 2 years ago we were told we wouldn't pass our safety building and we wouldn't pass the feasibility study. That's all we heard from our town leaders. Last year we heard, there's no way this town is going to pass the new school. That's not our town. And we did it. We came together. And I think Raleigh is changing. And education is valued. It's an important part of our community. And we cannot always say no. I also think that there's always room for improvement, and I don't think that being in the middle is enough. So I think that we need to be more innovative. I think that we need to look at the way we're educating our kids, but I don't think that the budget needs to be cut because the towns aren't willing to pay. That's all I have to say.
Could you sign in, please? Thank you.
I wasn't going to get up. I'm Joe Perry from Chairman of the Board of Selectmen in Rowley. There's no one who's worked any harder than I have for the last 7 years and for the last 2 years to get Pine Grove, the renovation. And we got the police and fire station, and we had the support of the parents from Pine Grove, and we appreciated that. But you have to realize that we haven't seen a tax increase yet to pay for those. That's coming. That's going to be in fiscal 19. That's the beginning of the increase. Then you're asking us again to increase the Triton budget, an $800,000 increase over what we've offered of the $200,000 for almost $1 million increase. We just can't afford it. The tax increase, again, you haven't even seen it on the tax bill. It's going to be a big increase, and you're going to see a bigger increase if you vote for this.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the committee?
Alicia Greco, Board of Selectmen, the town of Newbury. I said it before in another one of these open forum hearings, is that the three towns, we don't have schools. You're our school. And I see this as putting police, fire department, public works, and the school department kind of all pulling apart at each other. And that serves nothing. And I know that we cannot afford this, and I know Raleigh can't, and I know Salisbury can't either. But I also know that you can't, and our students can't. So we have to find a solution. We have to. I hear what Brian is saying as far as the state goes. They are the ones that truly bear the tremendous amount of responsibility what's happening to us. And I'm concerned about how they're going to, if there is any money coming down the road for us this year, is it going to be dispersed the same way it has always been by that Chapter 70 formula, so that, great, there'll be $100 million available for public education, and then Triton will get another $48,000. And that's not going to help us. So the solution, I think, is at the state level, and I think that our three towns need to pass an override. We need to try, and if we can't, what frightens me the most is if two of it pass and one of it doesn't. So I think it's in the best interest of everybody at stake that we all row in the same direction. Thank you.
Sign in, Alicia, please. I'm not sure if this is the place for rebuttals, but if you'd like to speak again.
Dave Peterson again. I just want to explain to the taxpayers in particular that are here that the Board of Selectmen and the other town officials make every effort we can to expand the tax base in Raleigh. We've got a lot of businesses that help us out. One big note this year for anybody that is interested, Schilling Toy, which occupied a large warehouse on Route 1 in Raleigh, just moved out. The building was taken over by Essex Museum, Peabody Essex Museum in Salem. That lost us, they're a nonprofit, that lost us $94,000 in cash that they were paying us in taxes, which hasn't been replaced, so that's going to be made up by new growth and the 2.5 increase. Joe and I and the Board of Selectmen has fought for every override. We supported the schools. I went and talked to teachers. I went and talked to various groups for the school override, for the police station override. We've all worked together, and I'm ready to support. Obviously, at this point, we're here to support an override. Our override's our only choice. None of us have the ability in these towns to magically increase our tax base. But like Joe said, the bill is coming due for the police, fire, and school. We've borrowed $50 million in the last 2 years. This override of $800,000 will cost the average $400,000 house in Raleigh over $300 a year. When we start fully paying back the police and fire station, we're probably talking somewhere between $750 and $1,000 a year increase in every house's tax bill. So to say that we've got some other way, I wish there was a magic formula. I wish we had a dust fall out of the sky, but we're not. We're hurting. And we're not here, like I said before. I'm not opposed to the school. My wife was in the school committee for many years. I've always been a strong supporter of the schools. My issue is, where does the money come from? And we just don't have it. If the overrides don't pass, or if 2 towns accept it and 1 doesn't, that 3rd town is going to be paying through the roof. And if we don't lay off this year, we'll be laying off next year. And I know in Raleigh we have 12 police officers, 3 firemen. The library's only open 40 hours a week. We can, I guess, close the Council on Aging for an extra 20 hours a week or whatever. So there's going to be, if it doesn't, we need to work together to pass it. But we've passed so many overrides in the last 2 years, I think it's going to be very difficult. But everybody is going to have to work hard for it. Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience who has not addressed the school committee this evening that would like to address the school committee?
Yes.
That's fine.
I'll sign afterwards. My name's Kemp Fournier. I've been teaching at NES for about 7 years now. I love this district. It feels like a second home to me, to be honest, coming to school every day and teaching the kids at NES. I understand that the funding is very complicated, and I'm hearing a lot from the towns about funding. When I think about this, I'm thinking about the impact on the classrooms directly. I'm a math teacher, so I always go directly to the numbers. I'm looking at class sizes, and if the teaching staff goes down, you're looking at class sizes that go from 20 to as many as 25 or 30 kids at the elementary level. The research, all of the research, says that one of the most important factors for a good education, especially early on, is a low class size. Having 25 to 30 kids in a 1st grade class will have an extremely detrimental effect on the student population as a whole. There are few things in school that have as large an impact as class size. And another one is teacher quality. But if you allow class sizes to just grow that high, there's kind of no going back from that. It will have such a devastating effect. I have friends of mine who work in districts where class sizes are that big, and teachers can differentiate, and they can do the best they can. But when you get to that high level, it is so hard to reach every child. And I see so much good stuff happening every day. I see brilliant teachers at work doing their best. And I know even in that situation, they would try their hardest to educate every child to the best of their ability. But it puts such a handicap in place. And 164th in the state is good, but it could be better. And doing that will only make it go in the other direction. And I think the kids in all 3 towns really deserve as high quality an education as they can. And I would worry about how their education would turn out if class sizes got that big. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Courtney Choate. I'm a resident of Salisbury, and I am also an employee of the district. I had to come up. I haven't spoken at one of these since 2006 when I was a junior at Triton, but I could not let Mr. White's comments go unaddressed. Quickly, while you were speaking, Mr. White, I looked at Rowley's ranking in Massachusetts. I couldn't help myself. I apologize. Rowley, which is, I work primarily in Pine Grove, is 259 of 351 towns and cities in Massachusetts. I believe that if we could increase the quality of Triton, which is currently a middle-of-the-road school, as you said, that that number would probably increase as well. And I also think it's a vast misunderstanding to say that Triton is a middle-of-the-road school for two reasons. First off, we're a passionate school district. I know that as a student, I know that as a community member, and I know that as an employee. I invite you any time that you would like to come into our school. I'm sure any of the school administrators would be happy to have you as our guest for the day. The second misunderstanding that I think might be happening is that funding is necessary to have a quality school. So I just wanted to point out both of those things. Again, I'm addressing the school committee, but it's a guys. I really wanted to address Mr. White. Thank you.
Remember to sign in. Is there anyone else who has not yet addressed the school committee this evening who would like to do so?
I'll sign in afterwards. I'm Bernie Cullen from Rowley. I'm also one of the water board members, and I'm intimately familiar with the budget process in Rowley. I've had to be. This is my third year coming to this process. Each year I've taken basically the same position, and that is this is a cost issue. And the people who can manage the costs are the school committee and the school administration. Now, there's nobody who's trying to micromanage, nobody whose goal it is to increase the class sizes. But the issue remains that it is a cost issue. And so, for example, the contract that was negotiated and agreed to essentially baked in 3 years of cost increases, rightly or wrongly, whatever you think about the justification for those increases, it bakes it in and it puts the town, not just Rowley, but the other towns, behind the eight ball, because the increases have been contractually obligated to are 3 times the size that we give our own other employees. So for my water department, I have to tell my guys we can only afford 2% increase, total cost of living plus level increase. And that's been the same for the last 3 years. In the meantime, they're listening to this as well. They understand, and it becomes progressively harder to kind of justify why we're only offering 2% to other town employees, whereas the school department employees are getting significantly more. And I've run the numbers. Want to talk the numbers, we can talk the numbers, but it's dramatically a dramatic increase. And that's on the school committee, that's on the school administration. That's what you can negotiate. And so in terms of going forward, I would expect a commitment from the school administration and the school committee that the next round of negotiations are going to be really tough, and alert the NEA and the NTA, the Mass Teachers Association, that there's no more. And that will give us some breathing room to kind of bring it back to par. Otherwise, it's one after another override, because that's where the numbers are. There's absolutely, unless suddenly the state becomes Santa Claus and unloads a huge amount of money, that's where it's going to go. It's completely clear, unequivocal. It was true 2 years ago, true last year, and now this year. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the committee? Is there any, Larry, before you, is there anyone who has not yet addressed the school committee tonight who would like to do so? Yeah.
I would just like to speak quickly on class size. As a parent at Pine Grove School, we've already seen teachers cut, and we've gone from 4 teachers per grade to 3 teachers, with many classes being around 20, 22 kids. And over the past couple years, as we've seen the reduction in teachers, we have had a lot of behavior problems in the younger grades, as well as a negative impact on our testing results, which you can see through our MCAS scores. Specifically in math, many of my friends, we all have to have tutors for math because the kids just are not getting it, and I'm just afraid that with larger class sizes, things will just get even worse.
Thank you. Could you sign in, please? Excuse me, did you tell us your name?
My name is Celeste Kirakopoulos. I'm the co-president of the PTA at
Thank
Pine
you.
Grove School.
Yes.
My name is Anthony Marinello, and I'm from Raleigh. It's my first time addressing the board, so I'm not sure where to kind of run with it. But I want to hit on one of the facts that, first of all, thank the educators within the district for all their time and effort and every piece of their life that they put forward to it. All right? They're not the highest paid people in the whole world. We're fighting about all these boundaries and how much they can make. You know, at the end of the day, they work jobs like we do. And they give of their time, and they give of their lives, and they give a lot of their energy. So we need to respect that as we look through this budget process. Higher education is fighting with higher escalating tuition rates. You see that all the time. They're trying to drive down the price of in college. What we're looking at here for an increase is par for the course to keep our school on target. Are we number one in technology? No. Why? We can't afford it. We can't move back. We're talking about an increase of my taxes in Raleigh, 300 to 600 to 1,000. $300, I look at that as 1 or 2 Dunkins not in my pocket a week. Can I live with making my own coffee? Probably I can. Does it mean that our kids, the next generation, the ones we expect to move forward for us, are going to be better off? Damn straight. And I know we have people on fixed incomes and concerns like that, but we have someone from the water board who brought up the points of the value and their employees. Well, Raleigh had a major increase in water, and we just had to live with it. Can I go to another place? Not so much. Can I go to another school? Yeah. So at least I have a choice if I wanted to change a school district, but the payment for my water, I don't have a choice. So I think we have a choice here to pay attention to our programs, to support the programs the best we can, to understand how we need to move forward collectively, continue to find the optimal class size, the optimum way to set up our architecture to support the children, to support the athletics, to support the arts, to support anything else that's in there to make them the best person, the best human that we can going up. So again, thank you all, and I just wanted to say a few minutes apiece.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Estuccio, and I'm a middle school special ed teacher, and I hate talking in front of people, so I feel a little bit strongly about this. So I work with several, not me, I'm near the end of my career, and I'm not quibbling. I don't want to pay higher health insurance, but that's beside the point. It's a lot. And but the young people who work in our school district will be the ones that are probably cut if there is an impact by the budget. And they're the ones that have to get their master's degrees, and they have to get more schooling to be teachers. And I don't know the gentleman's name who talked about the contract, but I just wanted to point out that those young people have years of loans to pay for getting their master's degree. And they breathe life into our school, not like some of the older teachers. Not that we don't do a good job, because we all do, but they breathe the life into our school. And to take away, I mean, I've seen step freezers. I've been here for 11 years, and it only hurts the most impacted of us. They don't make a lot of money to start with. They work really hard. They work at home. I know that because one of them is my son, and he works at Pine Grove, and I also work with another one in the middle school who will probably, I mean, they could be cut because of not passing the budget. I'm not a good speaker, but I'm done. Thank you.
Anyone else who had not yet addressed the committee?
Hi, my name is Emily Gulick, and I'm an employee of the district as well. I teach at the middle school. I am the middle school reading specialist. I have been sitting in the back thinking, I'm not going to talk, I'm going to talk, I'm not going to talk. And truthfully, I have seen such tremendous growth in this district in the 5 years I've been employed here. The first year, a lot of us were kind of trying to figure out where we wanted to go because we were observing some things that we weren't thinking was very positive. And that's oversimplifying to the greatest extent. I've seen my faculty come together. We have brought Keys to Literacy to a heightened level. We are looking at students writing and looking at ourselves and looking to see where we need to go as professionals. This comes with time. This comes with time out of the classroom, time after school. People are being extremely reflective on why that student over there is not being successful, and that takes time and that takes money to bring in people like some of these specialized teachers from Keys to Literacy that we've had. Additionally, people like me, I know I'm on the line here because I teach students in small groups, but I can't tell you how vulnerable these students are, and they share that with me, and they can't in the middle school level because of the class size. And they're middle school. I have 2 of my own at home, and it's a hard age for everybody, but especially if you struggle, especially if you're striving, as Margot Ryan likes to say. They strive, and they strive every single day. And when they're with me, they present their vulnerable selves. And honestly, together, we problem solve. We look at what needs to be done. I look at the data, but I look at those kids, and then I look at myself because I have to make sure that there are some gains made. This is why I don't do public speaking very often.
Great.
But I have to say, you look at those kids one by one, and they are fighting, and together we are working. And if you look at those students' scores, and it's maybe not the MCAS, but little ticks are going in the right direction. And it costs money, and I'm sorry, I know I cost a lot of money, and so do my colleagues. But I tell you, I have been trained in all sorts of different things because it helps. You draw from all these sources, and you see what you need to do the next day. So I wanted to just put it out there that we are striving as a district. I have seen my colleagues look at what we're doing as a faculty and try to move that practice, and that will get our students to the next level. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee?
Excuse me, I'm not sure what to put down as my town because I don't actually live here. Do I write Exeter, New Hampshire? Or do I write Triton?
You can.
Okay.
So I also went back and forth about whether or not I was going to speak.
Excuse me, could you give us your name, please?
I'm Heather Walter. I'm a math teacher at the high school. So I kind of teeter-tottered whether or not I wanted to speak. This is my 3rd year at Triton, so I do not have professional status yet, but I will in the fall. I just want to make a few comments based on what I heard from other parents and community members. I believe someone said that the last time they checked, the class sizes were about 15 students, or not more than that. I cannot speak for all classrooms. I can only speak for mine. I teach 3 Algebra 2 classes, and they have 20, 26, and 25 students in them. I had new students transfer in from a different level class, and I had to ask maintenance to bring me more desks. If I get any more students in that class, I will not have any physical space to put them, okay? The other 2 classes I teach are smaller numbers, but they are students who are working in the special education program. So the numbers are smaller because I have a support staff in that room, and those kids require more attention. Bringing those class sizes up is going to make it more difficult to reach these students. They need that support, they need that individualization. So cutting teachers is going to make those class sizes get bigger. Something else that affects is testing. We've heard over and over again from administration, from parents, from everybody, kids are failing MCAS, math MCAS specifically. We get blamed, but we don't have the resources. We don't have the time. We don't have, that individualization that we can do with smaller classes. The other thing that this affects is we don't have late buses for extra help. Kids are not passing MCAS because they're not able to get that individualized help in the classroom, and they're not able to get it after school because they don't have transportation. That is one of my biggest frustrations this year with not having late buses. My kids are taking the hit, and I'm shaking right now because I'm very passionate. I love these kids. The last thing I want to talk about is the raise, and someone said 2% and 6%, and I can't remember now. In our current teaching contract, we have a 2% raise every year, as of right now, and we have a step movement on the scale. The way I look at it is the 2% raise is to help with cost of living increasing, and a step movement is because we are now more experienced. Every year, you should hopefully get a raise for having another year in the industry. So to me, those are those 2 aspects. Maybe that's considered a significant increase than 2%. I don't know. But I know my time is up, so I'm going to finish. That was all I had to say.
Thank you. Anyone else who has not yet addressed the committee tonight? Going once? Mr. White, would you like to speak again?
Thank you. Just points of clarification. I'm not going to dispute any of the rankings or stuff like that, but I went online to a place called School Digger. It was like the 3rd from the top, okay, for the ranking of the schools. And I do have a copy which I can give to the woman if she's still here of the ranking of it. They've also ranked Ipswich is 103, Newburyport is 90, Georgetown is 76. But I also wanted to point out that I don't have any children or grandchildren, relatives, or anybody in Pine Grove or Triton. I have absolutely nobody that is beholding to the school district. But I am on the Pine Grove Renovation Committee. I've been on it for 2 years plus an eternity. I've served on the Pine Grove School Owners Project Management Evaluation Team. I served on the PGS Architect Evaluation Team. I supported the stadium project. I don't have any interest in it, but as a community person, I've been very involved in Pine Grove and Triton. I support education. I support Triton. I just don't support the budget. Thank you.
One more time, is there anyone else who would like to address the committee this evening? Thank you very much for coming. But I want to remind everybody, we've said this before, but I think sometimes people forget that the tentative budget that we voted on is the high water mark. That is the highest the budget can be. We can come forth with a reduced budget, but we always start with the high water mark. And there were a few comments tonight that made me think that I needed to reiterate that that's the high water mark. So I thank everyone for coming. We thank you for your input. As Brian said, next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, we will be doing public deliberations. That will be the committee deliberating amongst ourselves. That will not be an exchange of information. That will be us doing a public deliberation. You're welcome to come and listen to what we have to say, but again, that will not be an exchange opportunity. If you have any input that you'd like to provide prior to that to anyone on the committee, then please, we encourage you to do so. The next regular meeting and the vote on the final FY19 budget will be Wednesday, March 14th at 7 o'clock. So could we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you very much. Good evening.